us. Welcome here to round number 11 on day 2 of the U.S. Regional Championship at SCG-Con Houston. Players are underway. We have Camari Bolger at the top of the screen playing Simic Scale and hitting off of Coiling Oracle. 3 lands in play on turn 2 as Matt McCullough is playing Amulet Titan. Does not have the turn 1 Amulet, just a Vexing Bauble starting things off. And a Malevolent Rumble on turn 2. That one's going to find an Amulet as an option.
In Breeding Pool into Snow-Covered Island, Coiling Oracle hits Windswept Teeth. I feel like I'm watching 2005 Extended. This is clean living. Holy.
McCullough will pick up that Amulet, make an Eldrazi spawn off of the Rumble, and we'll see what Bolger can get up to.
No in-step fetch with a Windswept Teeth, interesting.
I imagine it's the kind of thing where sometimes you want to hold on to a fetch land as long as possible in case you draw or find Harbinger of the Seas. Maybe you want to do a land, but you'd find a forest if it was going to be an island.
Yeah, right. That's when my intuition was to say, oh, Hedge Maze is probably the get here. But no, you're totally right. You find Harbinger of the Seas. You do need green to function.
And here's going to be Birthing Ritual after an attack for 1. And here is Snow-Covered Forest. It's going to be a find of the basic. You want to do that before you trigger the Birthing Ritual in case you find the Harbinger.
Of course. And that's with the trigger on the stack, making sure this gets through anything in the space of a Boseiju or something like that. Would be hard to do with no green available. This Vexing Bauble that McCullough has on the table, pretty huge against a deck playing a bunch of flares, Force of Negation, Subtlety.
Yeah, it could be a big deal, and we know that McCullough does have an Amulet in hand. So Bolger's going to go to the end step. Birthing Ritual is kind of a weird one from Modern Horizons 3. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a creature, you can look at your top 7, and then you can sacrifice the creature to put a creature with mana value the same or 1 greater onto the battlefield. And you get to look at the top 7 before you make that decision. And so Bolger's going to turn Coiling Oracle into Icefang Quotable, draw a card. Not the ideal hit, but is a hit.
I mean, it upgraded the Coiling Oracle, gave them a card for their trouble.
Right.
1 away from having Death Touch.
Right, so here is the Amulet for McCullough as we go back his way. Here is Simic Growth Chamber. That will untap right away. Pick up a land, and here is Spelunking. Draw 1 card off of that trigger. Put Urza Saga into play. McCullough really setting up to get some Amulets going to make a Titan in pretty short order.
Right. Camari really needs to find one of these main deck copies of Boseiju that they have in order to tag this Vexing Bauble. Otherwise, he does not have very much interaction. Though, bolting in Sink into Stupor, the backside of it, that is, kind of a power play. Signaling hard cast copy of Subtlety.
Kola comes across. That's going to be sacked to the Birthing Ritual.
Fibble Thip, Fibble Thip, Fibble Thip.
Draw 2 cards.
Gladly.
That one clearly an upgrade. And actually
discard step.
Needs to discard.
Oh.
There goes Shardless Agent. And oftentimes there's going to be matchups where you want to keep a card like that, but Bolger, paying a lot of respect to this Vexing Bauble, wants to leave up mana for interaction, wants to be able to counterspell some combo stuff out of the Titan deck.
I mean, there's also a degree where the Cascade doesn't do anything against the Vexing Bauble.
That's a really good point.
It has been a long time since a 3-mana 2/2 was respectable, and it was before my time, so I'm not even sure if this was real time.
I am in agony right now.
About to pop your teeth in, give me a piece of your mind.
Start naming 2/2s that I've played. Writing up a list to send you a letter in the snail mail.
You haven't declared the attacks for 2 I've declared.
All right, Urza Saga to Chapter 2. Here is Amulet number 2 for McCullough. I believe that Echoing Deeps is the land.
On a forest, yes.
That'll untap. Nowhere to go with the mana just yet. But tons of mana at the ready, representing a potentially very explosive next turn. So we see Bolger flash in an Icefang Quotable at the end step.
Snake.
Draw 1 card and draw for turn.
I love Icefang Quotable, man. This is just such a fun card. I don't know.
It's rad. Here's an attack for 2. A lot of work to do on the life total.
What do you mean 21?
Let's call it 19.
No.
All right, so Bolger would like to trigger that birthing ritual, but a Boseiju is going to take care of that. As Bolger goes and finds the second snow-covered forest. Once again, leaving the mana untapped.
Boseiju Who Endures, one of the best cards in Modern. This is something that just really shows up in basically anything playing green.
Yeah, those channel lands from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, very powerful. And importantly, if you want to take care of the ritual before it triggers, you have to do it in the main phase, which means Bolger has this opportunity to cast a second copy. And this is actually big, because previously Bolger was maybe passing with 5 mana. That's not enough for 2 counters. Gets to cast this and leave up 3 mana for a potential counterspell. Gonna find Endurance. And a little consideration for who to shuffle the graveyard back.
I like targeting the opponent here. Whenever your opponent is doing something like Aftermath Analyst or shifting Woodland Loops, actually taking a bunch of things like artifacts that might be hard to otherwise get into the graveyard makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, Bolger agrees, as Mccullough's graveyard is going to be put on the bottom.
I think there is some amount of temptation to say, well, I don't want to give them their Boseijus back, but they're doing more for Mccullough in the graveyard than on the bottom of the library.
Yeah, with this Aftermath Analyst package, that makes sense. As Mccullough draws Urza Saga to Chapter 3, going to give this one a think. Decides to float a colorless.
With that many artifacts already in play, I do think there is some consideration to creating a construct just to stand in front of Endurance.
Yeah, another part of that equation has to be kind of the calculus on how many counter spells Mccullough can actually play through. Like, do you have to do something fair while you figure that out?
And something I appreciate is that we see Bolger not immediately prioritizing going after this bauble and just saying, no, all of those free counter spells I have do have normal mana costs. I can play a flash game. This has been really cool to watch. So I know I'm a creature deck, but it's almost like Simic Flash with this low opportunity cost engine piece.
Yeah, definitely. Little card for card, draw 1 extra card at a time value, sometimes 2, sculpt the hand, find some counter spells, try to keep your opponent off plan, and Mccullough is going to give this one a think. This is something you're going to see from a lot of Amulet Titan players. You have to really consider what lands you're going to find when you start going off on these multiple Amulet turns. Your output is so high, but the wrinkle here, I have to imagine Mccullough is actually thinking about what happens when my first spell gets canceled.
All right, well, 3, 4. We know there's 1 mana in the pool from that Urza Saga from earlier, so 5. You can see 5 fingers on the table.
Scape Shift with 1 floating.
And this is interesting because this is something that you see in Legacy sometimes, where you'll see someone cast something like a Show and Tell or a Sneak Attack with nothing to put in, because you know you're going to have to resolve something like that. Even if you don't know if it's going to be good enough, your opponent is somewhat priced into respecting it and maybe spending a counterspell, even if you don't have an obvious way to win.
And this is really interesting because there's the question on Bolger's side, is Scape Shift the payoff? Is this something that's going to be able to convert into a game win, or is this a test spell?
Yes, exactly. And I think it's resolving, given 2 lands are being flicked.
Yeah, and this is Bolger has to think, okay, that Vexing Bauble means I only get 1 counterspell. I know 4 lands Scape Shift is lethal, but maybe I can beat only 3 lands.
I mean, 3 amulets is a lot.
It's a lot.
I know it's 4 lands, 2 amulets. I'm not going to feign enlightenment on the 3 amulet spelunking Vexing Bauble games.
We're going to find out together, friend. 1 green in the pool. Mccullough does sacrifice all 3 lands. All right, as you mentioned, 3 amulets and spelunking on the battlefield. Shifting Woodland, Teleria West, Simic, Growth Chamber are the finds.
Makes a lot of sense. The Bounce Land and the Teleria West, where I would say those are the 2 that you kind of knew were probably going to be involved here. Whether or not it was Shifting Woodland or Lotus Field to maybe get the graveyard combo going was, I would say, that the hanging question.
And Mccullough is most of the way to Delirium. There's Enchantment off of Urza Saga, land, Scapeshift is a sorcery. At any time, could sacrifice the Vexing Bauble to get Delirium. That might open up some weird avenues for zero-mana interaction, but it is an option.
That one's tough. You know your opponent, this is open deck list, you know your opponent has 10-ish counterspells that can be cast for no mana, with Icefang Coatl supporting a possible Flare of Denial in hand. Subtlety was somewhat represented earlier. There is a lot going on here, and it is kind of scary to even commit something like a Summoner's Pact at this point, because you might literally die.
Right. Some shortcutting here. I love to see that for Amulets. It's pretty finicky to untap and tap the lands that many times, but there are 7 green and 3 blue in the pool, and that Tlaria West was picked up by the Growth Chamber, is being transmuted for Summoner's Pact. Now, as you mentioned, there's still the question, do I want to crack my Vexing Bauble and cast this? Three other cards in hand. All right, crack of the Vexing Bauble.
There she goes. Oh, 2 Summoner's Pacts in hand.
All right, well, here's the Summoner's Pact that was face up. See if Bolger wants to move here. Will, and it's going to be Flare of Denial actually sacrificing the Coatl, taking this opportunity to use a free spell while there's no Bauble on the table. So here's pack number 2, and here's part of why Bolger is maybe using that free counter. Will flash in Icefang Coatl to draw a card before reacting.
Right, there's a question here where if there's a Flare of Denial, you're happy to do that, but there aren't a ton of targets for something like Force of Negation at this point. So frequently when you are playing a counterspell deck, it's about making your counterspells line up with the cards that you want to hit. So Flare being more open-ended, you'd rather use a Force of Negation if that were an option.
And it's going to be a second Flare sacrificing that fresh Icefang Coatl, so both Summoner's Pact are countered. Still a ton of mana in the pool from Mccullough. The question is there any more business for this 9 floating mana? There's something. It's going to be Channel Boseiju on the Birthing Ritual. That's not a sign of strength, I wouldn't say.
No, I mean, we have seen 2 Summoner's Pacts get cast here, and something I do like, I think there is a sort of, I don't know, there's something where you feel like you maybe want to go after the Primeval Titan with a counterspell or something like that and make them pay for pact, but when there's a Shifting Woodland on the battlefield, you just want Primeval Titans to be in the library rather than in the graveyard.
Bolger is looking brilliant for letting that Scapeshift resolve right now.
Yeah, I think Bolger has played very well. It is not surprising that they're seeing a lot of success with a fairly unorthodox deck.
As we now head back Bolger's way, the rest of the mana did leave the pool. Endurance will rumble across, Mccullough to 18, and another Birthing Ritual.
You know they are saying, where is the Harbinger? Have looked at 30-something cards at this point.
All right, here's Birthing Ritual. Going to take a look at 7 more.
All right.
It's going to be Abhorrent Oculus.
And this one's really nice because it also, so obviously Abhorrent Oculus is a strong card in its own right, but it gives you food for Birthing Ritual.
It also looks at Harbinger, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, back to Mccullough. Here is a Spelunking to start things off. With so many amulets on the battlefield, one bounce land can go berserk from here, but you have to have it and something to do with the mana. Kind of a question on both fronts last turn, but there is Simic Growth Chamber. It's going to pick up Shifting Woodlands, but just redeploy that, and I want to say that was a pass. It was.
Bolger also wanted to say that was a pass.
And here comes the Oculus and the token. This is real damage. That's 7 coming across. I think there's been some life total updates that have been missed. 21 is not the correct number. We'll see if we can get that confirmed, but Bolger firmly in the driver's seat no matter what the life totals are, as here comes Coiling Oracle.
Fibblethip, Fibblethip.
Just drawing 1 card this time.
Fibblethip.
And here is the trigger on Birthing Ritual. I think as soon as there's a Harbinger, you're going to see a Windmill Slam on it. Yeah, a Shardless Agent, just a 2/2.
Hey, that is what we call a +1/+1 counter in the biz.
Indeed. Right, the Oculus going to manifest red once again on McCullough's upkeep. See what McCullough can do. Draw and head in the hands.
This has been a treat. This, just seeing a deck this cool get to do its thing. Uh-oh.
This is a real test spell, but that Aftermath Analyst is going to meet a subtlety, and Camari Bolger up a convincing game 1 against Amulet Titan here.
Oh, that looked nice.
Great navigation on Bolger's side of the table, and has brought a lot of tools, and this was not even a game that involved Harbinger of the Seas at all.
And I'm not sure things get that much better post-sideboard.
Yeah, we'll take a look here. Let's start on Bolger's side of things on the top of the screen. For our Simic Birthing Ritual player, there's at least one additional tool on the sideboard.
Oh, Harbinger of the Seas? Oh, I sees that coming in.
This old thing?
Oh, yeah.
This old thing?
Oh, and it's so funny because we were talking up these main deck copies that they've brought on the weekend, and he didn't even need them.
No.
No, it was just good enough to have a wall of counter spells and kind of... we always joke about the mediocre beatdown plan because it isn't doing anything as explosive as Boros Energy, but the beatdown plan, what that actually means is you do have this consistent wave of pressure that is able to push the game towards a conclusion.
And there's a lot of options here for Bolger, too. You have some additional 0-mana stuff. I'm interested in how much you want Force of Negation and Force of Vigor against Vexing Bauble. Probably at least some amount. And Consign to Memory plays here, too, right?
Yeah, so I think Force of Negation is one I'm not 100% you want to bring in another copy of. That's one that isn't going to hit all of the cards you're the most afraid of a bunch of the time, and I think you can trip over it a little bit. Force of Vigor, on the other hand, that's one that... being able to hit the amulets or able to hit Urza's Saga with the trigger on the stack on turn 1 can actually just take your opponent out at the ankles before the game is even started. And normally you don't want to 2-for-1 yourself with that card, but because so many of their cards are putting them up an additional card if they just get more time, I think that type of play pattern being more palatable means we're going to see Force of Vigor in the post-board situations.
You saw something happen there on camera. One of the most charming thing happens in these open decklist tournaments is we look at Matt McCullough's sideboard. A card that might jump out because you think, what the heck is that? Is Skyline Cascade, and he just handed the copy to Camari, so Camari could learn what the heck is Skyline Cascade.
Is that the gain flying card?
It sure is. That is my understanding. A land that enters tapped from Worldwake that gives a creature flying until end of turn.
That sounds true. Or wait, that's not Soaring Sea Cliffs?
Oh, that is Soaring Sea Cliffs. Does it tap a creature? We'll get Jeremy Knoll on the job here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the sideboard. So on Bolger's side, both the main deck and some of the sideboard, clearly Bolger is prepared for this matchup.
Yes.
I don't know if McCullough has much of a plan going into here, but there's some tools.
Yeah, there's some stuff to really like here. I think Dismember looks really good. This is a way to check Harbinger of the Seas post-board. Going to be really important to be able to do that. Fire Spout, also something that can mop up a bunch of sort of leftover material that Bolger is able to accrue over time. Dismember also able to check an Abhorrent Oculus, which is one of the ways that Bolger can keep committing to the battlefield without having to spend more mana.
Yeah, in kind of a more normal game, that certainly makes sense.
And we've seen Vexing Bauble also do a bunch of great work on the weekend. I think going into these post-board games, I do still really like Bolger's place. It feels like that they have picked this deck to beat up on Amulet Titan in a lot of ways. Without the card Vexing Bauble in the equation, it is just preying on cards that try and have a singular payoff card and abuse non-basic lands.
Yeah, we talked about the Amulet Tighter players picking a good deck for the weekend. The deck's performing very well, and like you're saying, Bolger has a plan here. Really going to pay off on day 2 with Amulet being the most represented deck, being the matchup here. If you're just joining us here on day 2 of the Regional Championship, thank you so much for tuning in, and we would also like to pay a sincere thank you to our sponsors, Beckett and Dragon Shield, for helping making this possible. Thank you so much. And also thank you to Dragon Shield for keeping my cards safe, making them shuffle just so easily for so many years. I've been using Dragon Shields forever. I'm a black matte Dragon Shield guy.
Oh, yeah. I picked up some Petrol matte Dragon Shields with some side event winnings on Friday. I have over 3,000 of the Art Series Poppy Field ones that kind of have the twist on the famous Monet painting. I adore him. I adore him.
That made me kind of wonder how many black matte Dragon Shields I have attached to my collection, and I kind of don't want to guess the number.
Oh yeah.
It's multiple cases.
I have. So whenever you play a deck, if you're done playing the deck, I personally, I don't get to play the hyper competitive events anymore, being WotC staff and all of that. But I do still, get to play F&M, but do it sparingly enough that I'll de-sleeve decks whenever I'm done with them, and then I'll put the sleeves off to the side. I have more than a long box of empty Poppy Field sleeves that I've already used, and several boxes left over that are still sealed.
So I did just kind of crunch some numbers mentally about how many black matte Dragon Shields I have currently in use. It's a mid four-figure number.
Yep.
It could be 5,000.
Holy, yeah, I feel like you had to cook the books a little bit to get to that. That can't be possible.
I have a lot of cubes these days.
Anyway, huge shout out to Dragon Shield and Beckett for keeping Tabletop Magic alive. They helped make this possible, and could not be more grateful.
Yes, absolutely. Right, players have finished sideboarding. Taking a look at some opening hands here for game number 2. Camari Bolger.
Fibble thip.
Up a game. It's a nice one to have in the command zone.
No Fibble thip among the holdings for Bolger. This might be a mulligan.
Snap mulligan.
Yeah, I think you want to get a 6.
Yeah, why would you only play 2 copies?
Yeah, I know.
Both players actually mulliganing.
Sometimes you look at a deck list and you know who the star is.
Let's get I would love to get Camari's thoughts on the deck. I'm sure that they would express, if I could do it again, clearly I would play more Fibble Thips.
Yeah, oh, for sure. What are we talking about right now? This is we're reading the cards to people. Fibble Thip the Lost is one of those cards that I do think is really cool, where it just is something that you kind of look at it and go, oh, this is just legendary Elvish Visionary, I guess?
Just?
We're Elvish Visionary buddies. That was a canon event for our friendship developing. But the rest of the text feels just sort of, it feels like it would never come up, and when it does, it's so cool.
Yes. And Mccullough has kept on 6. Has put a card on the bottom. I think Bolger is doing the same. And there we go. Both players on 6. We are underway. Boseiju Amulet. Turn 1 from Mccullough. Force of Negation check is passed as we head Bolger's way.
But this could be a pretty loud Force of Vigor check.
Yes. Shifting Woodlands untapped by the Amulet. And Malevolent Rumble is the play. We're going to mill 4 cards. A second Amulet. A Dismember.
Which member?
Mirror Pool and Lotus Field are 3 of those are options. You can't take the Dismember. Eldrazi Scion deployed.
And you so frequently see the second Amulet be the get here. I believe that's what Mccullough did game 1, but game 1 also really informed that just hitting land drops feels like it might be what this matchup's about.
Yeah, there was certainly a spot there as well where Mccullough had dozens of mana and nowhere to go. Looks like Lotus Field is the pickup here.
I mean, Lotus Field, a really nice pickup whenever there is an Amulet on the table already. It, in some ways, does just feel like Black Lotus.
And it does look like McCullough's build is leaning a little bit more into the Lotus Field side of things. Most Amulet lists, at least that I've seen, stock seems to be 1 copy of Aftermath Analyst. I'm not saying that 2 is a ton, but it is an acknowledgement of being a more wide range of games and having that card involved more often.
Definitely.
And it was a shock to Breeding Pool untapped as land number 2 for Bolger in the past, at least representing an Icefang Codal, maybe something more nefarious as well.
Okay, so here's Urza's Saga. This is the Force of Vigor check. The fact that it did gain the mana ability that resolved means there's probably not a Force of Vigor in Bolger's hand.
Spelunking, draw 1 card. A land enters, will be a Crumbling Vestige and just a pass. And here is the Icefang Codal.
Yes.
Pretty well telegraphed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's one also where this is the sort of matchup where it's hard to tell sometimes how precious you really need to be with your life total, even if you have nothing. Shock Breeding Pool Go can make your opponent play differently.
Yes. Right. Kodal will draw a card. A lot of draw one card game actions in this matchup, as Bolger will also draw for turn.
Drawing one card, I think, might be the most fun game action you can possibly take.
Huge fan.
7, it's like a little tedious with a Gristlebrand or something, but drawing 1, you just go, oh, okay, all right, right now. Speaking of right now, hello.
A fetch shock for Harbinger of the Sea. So there's a forest already there. A green fetch is going to have to find a breeding pool, but here is Harbinger.
All right, which member check?
There was one dismember milled, but there are 3 copies in the sideboard for Mccullough. As you mentioned, big check on that. And if you haven't played Modern in a few months, something worth pointing out, there was a recent rules change. Harbinger of the Seas, Blood Moon's effects, they used to just destroy Urza Saga just on site. That one's going to stick around with the counter here, though.
Luckily, it did not hit Chapter 2. That's one where it can actually be a little bit of a drawback because of how layers work, where it would gain the construct ability, then become an island. But because of how layers work, if anyone ever wants to talk about it, I know too much about them. It ends up becoming an island that has been through the experience of gaining that ability, so it keeps it.
All right, there was an attempt at dismember.
Flare of Denial!
I'll counter that. Yeah.
Protect the Queen at work.
Yeah, that was not dismember on Icefang Kodal. No. Harbinger sticking around here. What can Mccullough do with 4 islands?
Urza Saga notably not getting a counter because it is but a humble island.
Lotus Field does get to enter on tap, but it's just an island. If you can answer the Harbinger, then you kind of just have this 3-mana land waiting in the wings as the Harbinger does rumble across.
Hedge Maze really leaning into its island roots.
Bolger passing with 4 mana up. Mccullough back against the wall. Gruul Island pass. Icefang Kodal shows up to turn up the heat. Mccullough is at 13 already. The Dismember, of course, costing some life for the trouble. 3 points rumble across. Mccullough is at 10.
This just feels like a different era of Magic in some ways. Just saying, all right, 2 you go. 2 you go.
Here's Coiling Oracle for Bolger. That's going to draw a card. So we head back to Mccullough. Can we get the Harbinger off the table?
Let's go, Coiling Oracle. It is a snake. It is an elf. It is a druid.
Basic Forest Green Sun Zenith. Okay, 6/6 is like, it's pretty big.
That is not nothing at this point in the game. And you can see that's what Bolger has to think about.
Plenty on tap mana here, though.
Okay, Sink into Stupor is not bad.
Yeah, bounce that. You're going to have to try again next turn.
That is just Time Warp at this point, effectively.
Worth 4 points of damage as Mccullough goes down to 6. Or actually, no. Time for the Spawn to jump in the way, soak up to actually to 8.
Land is not what McCullough is shallow on at this point.
Right. All right, Mccullough draws for turn. We know about a Green Sun Zenith. That's the face-up play for this turn. Did he draw anything better? Cards that play better than that, they're pretty slim at this point.
Right, I mean, at this point, McCullough is basically just looking for either the card Otawara in order to create the big, exciting, scary turn that these decks are capable of by bouncing Harbinger of the Seas through a counterspell, but the third Dismember isn't bad either.
And that is going to resolve. That's huge. Mccullough to 4, but now I was talking about that Lotus Field. That's just the 3-mana land here. That means that minimally you can still Green Sun Zenith 4/6. You can still get Primeval Titan. Amulet and Splunking are already on the table.
Was that... I thought that might have been during draw step, so the Urza Saga would gain a construct ability to create blockers, but no dice.
All right, big tap here for Mccullough. Big Green Sun Zenith. That one's going to get forced to negation. Okay. Here's a Malevolent Rumble as the follow-up. Yeah, get that Green Sun exiled. Definitely a sign that Bolger has had the one counter spell, right?
Yes, yes. All right, well, Malevolent Rumble did hit Primeval Titan, and for the moment, McCullough's life total is safe. A lot of pressure on Bolger to find something here.
All right, the attack for 2 is the floor for the turn, and notably, with the attempt at 2 non-creature spells, Bolger could have a subtlety waiting. That would be huge.
Ooh, wow, you're absolutely correct.
All right, there's the attack. The Spawn's even going to soak up 1 damage time. That's the only thing it's doing in this game.
I mean, every point matters.
Yes.
3 damage has been absorbed by chump blocks, and McCullough's at 3.
Yeah. Malevolent Rumble doing its job. Very strong card. All right, McCullough. We know there's a Primeval Titan in hand. Tons of mana at the ready. Now Urza's Saga finally hits Chapter 2. It's a really long story this time.
I mean, if the blockers part is what's relevant, doing it main phase and not taking it up last turn, pretty nice. You get an extra construct this way. Assuming you're playing around my Primeval Titan getting hard countered.
All right, we know about a Primeval Titan in hand. McCullough weighing some options, though. Gotta have the possibility for subtlety on his radar.
Right, this is the spot where you think, okay, what can I beat? What can I not beat? I can't play around the cards that definitely kill me. So what do my other games look like?
Tap for 4. It's going to be Activate Shifting Woodland.
Targeting Primeval Titan in the graveyard because Malevolent Rumble hit 2 Primeval Titans.
Can't subtlety your way out of that one.
Oh my god. Oh my god. No. Besage!
Yeah, destroy your Shifting Woodland in response.
But McCullough can respond and activate again.
Wow, yeah, that's just a creature now.
Oh!
Oh, wow. Titan attacks. Force of Vigor destroys both the Spelunking and the Amulet. So these lands are just going to enter tapped off the Titan trigger.
And I think I'm seeing Bolger folding their arms. Those are the last 2 cards in hand. Was that every card perfectly used?
Wow.
Come on, man.
You were talking about McCullough being at 3 life, though. Bolger does still only have 2 points on the battlefield. Those Malevolent Rumbles really paying off here.
Oh. Oh, my God.
And McCullough also does get to find 2 lands. Going to give this a think. What can he find to give himself the best shot over a game that lasts another turn or 2? Otawara, Simic Growth Chamber, put the Otawara in hand. That certainly makes sense. Just give himself a little interaction.
It's important because the best single card, if assuming Bolger is hellbent, that they could draw is Harbinger of the Seas.
Right.
Otherwise, you kind of need some combination of multiple cards going right of Shardless Agent into Fibblethip into draw Besaju plus Counterspell or something.
Bolger's going to fetch the 7, find a Hedge Maze, going to get to Surveil before drawing a card.
And this Urza's Saga, waiting that 1 extra turn, doing it in the main phase, doing the Dismember last turn in the main phase so the Saga doesn't get the extra counter, also means that another Amulet of Vigor is on the way.
Wow. All right, here's the attack for 2. What did Bolger draw?
Dismember surveilled away with a Hedge Maze.
Now we head back over to McCullough. Urza Saga, going to Chapter 3. We know Shifting Woodland can just become a Primeval Titan here. We also know there's just been a Titan in hand.
So right now there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 mana with Urza's Saga if you don't tap the Shifting Woodland, which is enough to cast Primeval Titan and animate Shifting Woodland. If you activate Saga, you're going down to 8. which is not enough to also activate Woodland. But he is really valuing the blocker here, okay?
Yeah, gonna make that construct. He does only have 1 life left.
Yeah, 1 life left to live.
Certainly not one to give. There is Amulet of Vigor, find off of Chapter 3 of the Urza Saga.
Notably, a land in hand does mean that he just gets to do it all here.
We will find out what he has. Here's the activation on Shifting Woodland.
All right. Bolger with 1 card. We do not know what it is.
Giving it a think in response to this activation. It's another Beseiju.
That's something.
Kind of similar texture to last turn, right? Where there's another activation at the ready, but you do get to tax the mana with it.
And it's so funny. Bolger also at 1 life too many for Primeval Titan to close it out alone, because these decks are, now we see Amulet Titan on Handwear Battlements instead of something like Slayer Stronghold, which could give extra power.
Right.
Dealing that extra point of damage might be pretty hard from here, especially if Mccullough doesn't have another land. He's currently 1 short of casting Primeval Titan.
Right.
Oh no, the Beseiju will give him 1.
Oh, yes. You go find a land off of the resolution. Right, Mccullough's going to think, how do you respond to this? And the whole aspect that's lumbering here, that Ice Fang Quotal, that's a lethal attacker.
Mm-hmm. And there only being 1 amulet in play is a lot of what makes this so difficult. If there were 2, you have a bunch of the mirror pool lines to kind of make multiple hasty Primeval Titans. But in this case, look at this. Shifting Woodland responded, fires it up, gets to the combat step, attack for 6. And Mccullough says, all right, whatever is good for me, it's in my library. Let's find out what it is. I'd rather get an attack in with a Primeval Titan than not.
Let's take a look. And we've been talking about the history of this deck, a card that they used to play, Radiant Fountain, gain 2 life. That's not an option this weekend.
Oh my God, that would have been amazing here.
And McCullough's looking the deck over.
I'm looking the deck over, brother.
2 Simic Growth Chambers. Gonna pick up Simic Growth Chamber Beseiju.
Okay.
6 connects, Bolger's to 1. What are we doing with the mana?
So the Simic Growth Chambers represent Otawara bouncing the Coatl.
Oh.
We know there's an Otawara. Oh! Green Sun Zenith! X equals 1 Arboreal Grazer? Reach up! You know what we call, yeah, back, okay, so before I worked for Wizards, I always called that card Blocks Diamond. And it is really, really putting the blocks into that right now.
Blocks Diamond indeed.
And then it puts in the Growth Chamber, so it's kind of a ritual.
Yeah, so Otawara mana at the ready as well. Mccullough has the Coatl checked in multiple ways.
Oh my God.
Harbinger of the Seas. Okay, is this still something?
Oh, I mean, all of a sudden we have a second card that has to be Otawara.
Yeah.
Well, no. I said that and then realized that, like you said, the Coatl is checked 2 different ways.
So this is, I don't know if this is the game we're playing necessarily, but I do want to point out that Bolger has 2 snow-covered lands.
Bad number.
Yeah, I believe you need 3 other snow permanents for the Coatl to have Death Touch. It doesn't count itself, right? Been a while. Been a while.
I complete. Yes, that is correct.
Right. Harbinger, go. Can't even attack with the Coatl. Yeah, the Grazer just blocks it. There's no Death Touch. It wouldn't gain you anything. Right. Back over to Mccullough. All the lands are islands now, save for the basic forest.
What an unbelievable game.
So much is happening here. So now it's the Otawara on McCullough's turn. Couldn't have really done that floating mana last turn because Bolger would just recast it. But yeah, it looks like Shifting Woodlands is going to sew things up here. We're going to go to game number 3. Wow. That was a barn burner.
That was such a cool game, man.
Both players treading water, just holding on at 1 life.
Actual 1 life.
Mccullough just barely crosses the finish line, and I do got to call attention to time in the round. We are sub 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is something I really appreciate is I feel like we got to see so many different cards get every piece of them used. Right, we saw Malevolent Rumble used as a chump blocker instead of the Lotus Petal that people love to joke that it acts as a bunch of the time. We saw the reach on Arboreal Grazer matter when we always say, you win on turn 2 or 3, like that doesn't really come up. It's just 1 mana kind of explore effect that Green Sun can hit. God, that was sweet, man.
Yeah, some really cool stuff. A lot of patience from that Force of Vigor out of Bolger. Like an Urza Saga was just hanging around for a while. When it tagged the Spelunking and the Amulet, it looks so good. Just so many swings back and forth.
Holy.
All right, I'm having a lot of fun watching the tournament this weekend. I hope our players are enjoying playing. And if you're looking for an opportunity to play some more Magic yourself, we have our 2026 schedule. Book your travel, check out some of these events. We are coming to Atlanta. We're going to Portland, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Las Vegas, Hartford, Los Angeles, Baltimore, Dallas, Washington, D.C., and Richmond. Bang.
I wanted to leave it for you, friend.
Thank you.
It was real. You did a really good delivery on it yesterday. These sound awesome. We've already been to a bunch of these cities this year. It was a great time. Portland was a huge highlight for me earlier this year. Been to Atlanta. A lot of great cities on that map.
All right, our players are underway here. Bolger playing a couple lands to McCullough's Urza Saga. No turn 1 Amulet. But here's Basic Forest and Malevolent Rumble. It's been doing a pretty good job at finding the Amulet so far this match. Going to look at 4 cards. Likely to that end here. Urza Saga is on Chapter 2. There's a spawn. Here's a Gruul Turf, a Boseiju, a second Boseiju, and Shifting Woodland. One of the Boseijus is picked up.
You can see the pace of play.
Yes, both players very aware that they have sub 8 minutes now. All right, another fetch land for Bolger.
They notably did not fetch on end step. We called this out in the first game as well, but kind of trying to figure out what land does my Windswept Heath actually want to get. The answer is basic forest, snow-covered forest.
Right. Snow-covered island as well. Shortcutting here, you would hate to waste time shuffling twice.
And you can see a lot of times in these events, people will kind of actually shuffle the opponent's deck instead of just a simple cut, but they say, no, I need to win.
Birthing Ritual deployed, and Consign to Memory is going to take care of that Urza Saga. That one's not going to find an amulet.
That basically means Consign to Memory blew up an amulet.
Yes. And
or countered it.
And Mccullough down a land.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
All right, there was a floating mana, though. Here's Aftermath Analyst. It's going to mill 3 cards. 3 Primeval Titans!
Ooh.
There's still one in the deck. There's still one in the deck.
Oh, there's one.
There's one.
There's one.
We'll have to remember that. That could come up.
That is a big deal. And McCullough's thinking, is he missing a land?
Oh, no.
Or I would guess...
He's got Boseiju at least.
I would guess there's like 1 land.
Right. Teleria
or maybe
West.
a bounce land.
Right. Teleria West is going to be the land for turn. And now we're back Bolger's way. And here's Harbinger of the Seas.
Ooh.
Birthing Ritual. I don't think there's anything you would turn the Harbinger into, is there?
I was wrong. Me. Yep. All right. Endurance.
Okay. Get the lands out for the Aftermath Analyst.
Yeah, this is one where you see your opponent has a way to recur the graveyard on the battlefield, and we also saw that Bolger lost to Primeval Titan in the graveyard last game.
That is true. Yeah, you're turning off Shifting Woodlands.
This is also the type of thing where you can play differently because of the clock. where if you think a draw is what could end up happening this game, just having a 3-power creature is your route to getting 3 match points in 5 minutes.
Sure. Here's Crumbling Vestige. There's Vexing Bauble, and 6 deployed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6. That's a good reason to get rid of a graveyard, too.
Holy.
Backup Harbinger. Okay. Things are making a lot of sense now.
These are what we call the tools.
Birthing Ritual going to go to work again. Bolger looking at the top 7.
It looks like there's a consideration. Sack the Endurance, get a Coiling Oracle. Bolger just trying to get the wheels spinning.
Real the top card. Mr. Rainforest will go to the battlefield. Kind of a nice find.
Pretty good island. Very handsome island.
All right, here comes 6. It's going to attack and mill 3 cards. Picks up a land, is Splunking and Dismember milled to the graveyard. 6 connects 4/2.
I feel like that was just a palindrome. 2/4 named 6. 6 connects 4/2.
Lotus Island for Mccullough. Once again, you have that Lotus Field on the table, not needing to sacrifice anything because it's an island now, but it could be a 3-mana source later.
And this is a nerve-wracking spot if you're in Bolger's seat, because my read is that they may have boarded out some number of Abhorrent Oculus to be better at playing an early reactive game, but they need pressure.
Right. Birthing Ritual is going to take a look again. Coiling Oracle is going to turn into another Coiling Oracle.
That is Simic engineering.
Demonstrated a loop.
All right, so we have a Snake Elf Druid that turned into an Elf Druid Snake.
That one's just going to pick up a card to hand. Go back to Mccullough. 6 will attack again, mill 3.
Another basic forest.
Arboreal Grazer and an Amulet now in the graveyard. Seems like a nice one to retrace. There's Gruul Island, rather. And Sinking the Stuber is going to bounce the 6.
On instep, that says to me there's something like a subtlety in hand.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, land number 5 for Bolger. Still has a lot of work to do. Mccullough just comfortably sitting at 20. That 1/3.
Right.
Really clocking in today.
All right, 3-mana Oculus. This is
right.
crucial. This is actually quite important.
That's
Bolger
a clock.
needs to start attacking, and this is something that can win the game in a turn or two. Birthing Ritual meets a Beseiju.
So that's going to go and find a breeding island. And the Oculus should be manifesting Dread here. Bolger currently shuffling. Players playing very quickly. Just over 2 minutes left on the clock. Mccullough is going to hard cast Primeval Titan. That's going to get hit by a hard cast Flare Denial.
I think Bolger realizes that they missed their Abhorrent Oculus trigger on the upkeep, is just trying to play fast.
All right, here's an attack. The Oculus, though, it only takes 4 hits from that one.
Correct. All right, go. Upkeep, Manifest Dread, Birthing Ritual goes to the yard.
All right, what can Mccullough do? Last turn, there was an attempt at a Colossal Dreadmaw. That didn't work out. 6 redeployed. That one doesn't do anything about the Oculus and doesn't do anything at all, as that's going to meet another Flare of Denial. Here is Spelunking for Mccullough. Draw 1 card. Puts Urza's Cave on the battlefield, but it's an island.
Ooh! Abhorrent Oculus manifested.
Another loop has been demonstrated.
All right, 10 in the air.
I love the dramatic tapping there. That's a big swing.
Oh, yeah.
That's Manifest Dread twice.
Sink into Stupor, dismember the cards hitting the graveyard.
Mccullough at 5. What can he do?
Malevolent Rumble, probably
looks.
how this starts, but not through a Force of Negation to hand.
Camari Bolger. Simic Birthing Ritual. Team Fibblethip. Let's go.
Fibblethip. God, that was sweet, man.
Camari Bolger advances to 9-2 here at day number 2 of the U.S.